Unlock the power of AI in marketing with our new series, AI Agent. Dive into the world of SaaS tools, discover how marketing pros deploy bots, and explore the best use cases for AI in your marketing strategy. Only on Marketing in the Age of AI podcast with Emmanuel Rose.
Welcome to this episode of Marketing in the Age of AI. Today, this episode, we get a chance to talk with James Sadoff, who was the first guest on the show about 15, 16 months ago. And what's really cool about James is that he's not trying to sell a course or sell a book, but he's actually doing the work on the ground. And he is an experienced business development specialist, and he has a history of working in the computer software industry. He's skilled in digital strategy, SEO, storage solutions, direct marketing, and he is a smart guy who knows how to get the automations working on his favor so that he doesn't have to have a huge staff. Welcome,
exactly.
James.
Thanks, Emmanuel. Really nice to see you. It's funny because I think the first time we did it, we were both shaved, and this time we're in the rough, and that's
right.
okay. It just means that we're too busy with a lot of the stuff going on that we just don't have the time to make that a priority, which is okay. I think in today's day and age, it's okay to get away with it. But at the end of the day, it was, when we started talking, first of all, I didn't know that I was your first guest. So that's an honor. And I appreciate that. Thank you for allowing me to do that and for bringing me back on.
Absolutely.
And I remember when we first started talking, it was just about, how can you apply these small little tools that we got access to, right? The chat GPTs, Gemini was just starting out maybe, in its fruition.
Yeah.
I think before it wasn't even called Gemini, it was called Bard, before they even released it. So, we had all these little things. We just didn't know what to do. And at the time when it had happened, it was also a little bit of a lull, with respect to, I think, the business community trying to figure out, oh my God, am I going to lose my job? Do I need to learn these things? Am I going to get looked over? Am I going to get passed by? And, with all that hype, it turns out nobody lost their job.
No.
Everybody's still working.
Yeah.
However, productivity has gone through the roof. And if you are doing anything that requires you to, do a task every day, every week, summarize things, get it done, send it, all these things that you had to try to figure out where's that email, where are those notes, and to create that report for your boss or whatever, those things are days of the past.
For sure.
Like it's all been changed. And, I think one of the biggest changes from back then to today is the concept of the AI agent and how to get AI to programmatically take something that you want to get done, create a goal for it, and have it just do its thing, and not even tell you what it's doing, but just give you the result.
Right.
And at that point, it's not a copy paste thing, because the more we see people using these tools, the more people who use these tools notice
Yeah.
what people are saying. And I think the biggest thing is if you ever read a post online or you see something where it says, we're thrilled. No one's thrilled. No one's thrilled.
No.
But everybody's thrilled.
Yeah,
Everybody,
right.
we're thrilled. We're thrilled. So you can start picking up the lingo. And we could talk about the negative aspects of that later, because there is definitely something that we need to take into consideration with respect to, how we're teaching the AIs moving forward, because it's not just a closed system. It's a learning engine. All these models learn and they learn from each other. And so it's really interesting to kind of figure out how to take it to the next level where, at the end of the day, you still get that end, piece of what you're looking for, but it puts you in the position of power to
Yep.
say, I love this. Let me put my spin on it. And instead of that, 4 or 5 hour work, it just got reduced to 4 or 5 minutes.
Which,
And, it
yeah,
opens the door for other things to do as well.
so powerful, isn't it? Just exactly what you're talking about, where we got this leverage of being able to decrease the cost of time by 10 to 100x, right? Like,
Absolutely.
I took 2 days worth of strategic planning, and put it in, from Otter into chat, and it gives me my summaries and action plans. Otter does it for you, but then you can refine it even one
Yeah,
step more, right?
it's
So
it's crazy.
so I've broken it down now into three sections, right? We have personal productivity, we have
Yeah,
departmental productivity, and then we
yeah,
have overall business productivity and profitability from that additive process. So
correct.
I'm really excited to hear from you about what your tech stack looks for you personally in your
Hmm.
in the marketing and sales area, and what
Yeah,
tools are you using, and what are you using to agentify or create agents? I guess not quite agent
yeah,
yet, but to create agents so that you're automating things inside your
sure.
deliverable stack. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the funny thing is that if you look back at when we first spoke, the tools that I said are Canva combined with ChatGPT combined with LinkedIn is like a social media business engine,
Yeah.
right? At that point, and it hasn't changed. The tools are still the same. However, the tools are a little better. They give you, some, maybe they're faster. They don't take a lot of time to process information. AI, it's really good. It's become more analytical also, so you can really have different types of use cases. And we're talking about like even like day-to-day business stuff. So from a personal standpoint, right, what
Yeah.
are the ways that you can use it in your daily life? If you're stuck on an Excel spreadsheet and you're trying to get something done, there's a new tool out there that I love using and I love playing around with it, and I think it's great for people to just if they trust the system, then they'll open the door to be able to use something that Google released called the AI Studio.
Okay. Great.
And inside the Google AI Studio, there's a few different options. And one of the new options that it allows you to do is it actually allows you to share your screen and your camera. And it's like you're having a meeting, like we're talking today, only there's nobody on the other side. It's just your screen and you're talking to a voice.
Love it.
However, this voice, it becomes the number one helper in the world for getting anything done. If you're working on Photoshop and you're trying to get some kind of effect on some kind of image, you can literally say, share your screen and say, "Hey, look, can you tell what I'm doing?" And it will respond back, "Yeah, looks like you're in Photoshop. Looks like you got an image, something I can help you with. And I want to get some kind of like cool glow electric effect on this subject matter." And it will say, "All right, go ahead, take your mouse, click over here." And it will walk you through the process
I love
as
it.
opposed to you having to read it step by step in ChatGPT, which is still valid, by the way.
Sure.
Like if you want to have that nice checklist to take your time and go for it, great. But when you start having like a IT assistant on the other side of your computer that that's just there, and they're walking you through complicated processes that you would just think about and just forget about it because too complex. I don't have the knowledge. I don't have the time to learn. I have a life, right? It's over. You have somebody to ask 24/7, and if you have like an extra 10 minutes, the amount of things that you can learn through experience outweighs anything you can get out of a book without having to put it into practice,
That's
right?
amazing. So it's like kind of like Make on steroids, right? Instead of it
Yeah.
following you around, it's actually telling you what to do.
Yeah, it's having that conversation with
Yeah.
the AI, but we're not typing anymore, we're talking to it, right? And you can see
Wow.
you have this stuff already out with ChatGPT and you can talk to it and it's great and it's fun. But when it actually helps you, that's when you feel the impact that it has on your personal well-being or your personal life because you're like, this is now something that I wasn't able to do 10 minutes ago.
Right.
And it's not that I'm like a professional and I'm proficient and I can go, but for my, my next level of upgrade in life, I was able to get that little thing done, and now I know where to go if I ever need a resource to help me do it again. Right? You
Yeah.
have these history, these things are saved. A lot of the conversations now start to learn kind of who you are and how you talk,
Yeah.
and it will write things in the way that it sees you writing to it. So it kind of gives you that more personable touch. The other thing that I love is that if you're, like I was saying, if you're ever deep into Excel, and Excel has so many functions, but no one knows how to use all of
For
them.
sure.
But it
Yeah.
has all of them, right? And same thing, you can literally open ChatGPT, and I'll give you a simple example. In the world of marketing, right? We're running we need a spreadsheet, right? So we'll go to Zoom Info. We'll say, "Hey, make me a list of the top 100 companies in California with this many employees and this many things, whatever, and the locations and this. So it gives you this nice big Excel spreadsheet.
Yep.
But when you try to upload that spreadsheet in a database needs a raw variable. So when you have a range, let's say employees 1,000 to 5,000, it will not accept the range.
Right.
So what's the easiest thing to do? Either you have to go through every single field and figure out exactly how many employees are there, or maybe approximate like 2,500, right? Just, set it up for everything and Bob's your uncle. Or you can be a little bit more strategic and just ask ChatGPT to give you a little equation that you can put into the cell next to it, and then it automatically just does it for the whole thing.
Nice.
So it can tell you how to do all that stuff without you having to really break, a sweat and look for user guides and go through Reddit threads and all this. It's done. And by the way, it does all that for you, and it gives you the source of the thread in Reddit where it got the information now. So a lot less hallucinations.
Right.
But when you hear about those lawyers going to a court case and not checking the data, it's like, dude, that's your bad. You should
Yeah,
not
right.
be a lawyer.
Yeah, you're not professional at that level, right?
So personalized, personalization, it's actually just that. It's a personal thing. It really depends on what UI you're used to. When you look at things like Midjourney to be able to create, images. When we first spoke, Midjourney lived inside Discord. You had to
Right.
go inside and do it. Midjourney has a whole new website right now that they do all of the stuff that you can do outside of Discord, and it's phenomenal. It gives you amazing options. The images that you can generate are just great. Some of them, obviously, they look AI, which kind of makes people think like, are we turning into a completely AI, world right now? There's opinions on it. I have my opinion, and I think that there's certain things that we can replace. And I'm sure people will hate me for it, but like when you look at like what people are doing with video,
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's
Amazing.
some stuff out there that's stunning. And what it does, and this is where it gets a little political and PC and things like that. And I don't like to cause drama, but like, when you think about it, you have all these actors, there's all these issues that are going on around the world. These actors have a voice and they have a following. And so when they say something, people will take it as if it's the word of God. Like, oh,
Sure.
yes, George Clooney said, drink Nespresso. I'm drinking Nespresso for the rest of my life.
Right.
George Clooney says, vote for this person. I might vote for that person. Right.
Yep.
So these are the little things that happen. However, the guy's an actor. He's not a political leader. He hasn't a personal opinion. He's not someone who should be leading the people or leading opinions, because it's sad. Sometimes people have the wrong opinion based on how you look at it, right? Because it's a subjective, thing, objective, however you want to look at it. But when you look at AI, what does it do? It takes that human factor out of the picture. We don't have to worry about Golden Globes and Oscars and who's this and that. But the person, when we go to a movie, sometimes, we're going to see a specific person because we like that actor, and that's fine, right? We love that. But most of the time, 90% of the time, we're going for entertainment. We don't care who's on the
For a
screen.
story,
We
right?
want
We
to
just
see
want a
and for
story.
story.
Yeah.
We want to have fun. We want to take a break from what we're dealing with on a daily basis. Go to a different, reality for an hour and a half, 2 hours, what have you, and enjoy yourself with some popcorn and candy and soft drinks and whatever, before we have to go back to our mundane lives of
For sure.
of trying to make it happen. So that's the personal side of it. The next piece of it, what we talked about, is in the departmental level, right? And so I can tell you that what we've done, right? The company that I work for, Cetera, we're in the process. I mean, we deal with data, right? Our company, Cetera, deals with data. And when we talk about data, we don't just mean random data. We're actually like, if we're in a company that has, multiple thousands of locations, multiple thousands of users remotely scattered around the world, right? They need to have a way to centralize all of that business data.
Right.
And because we actually, sit in front of the business data, there's ways that you can utilize AI in the industry, in the organization, to make them better. right? Give them additional added value, saying, hey, we're already doing XYZ with respect to security, with respect to backup and snapshotting, with respect to file sharing, collaboration, file access, ransomware protection, all those great things. But what about using your data to do things for you, right? That's not something that people can even understand. Like, what does that even mean?
Mhm.
And to give you a simple example, you know, what we've done is created a way that you can figure out what AI works best for you, close it off from the, the actual public space,
Yep.
put the company's data first and source it. And that
Love
way
it.
you can give an employee real company approved messaging,
Yeah.
right? Or conversation pieces. If you have a software and you're having people dealing with customer service and the frequently asked questions, well, now that frequently asked questions is an interactive piece.
For sure.
You're not looking for a question, you're just talking to an AI, and
Yeah.
it's telling you, hey, what issue do you have today? And I've seen so many fantastic examples of this where I've gone to websites where I actually needed a piece of code,
Right.
but I don't know what I'm looking for. I know that I have a function that's not working and I don't know what I need. So I ask this helper on this website that's designed for programmers. And it's like, what are you trying to do? And I was like, actually, I have this error and I don't know what to do with it. And it's like, oh, are you doing this? And I'm like, that's exactly what I'm doing. It's like, well, you need to add this and this. Do you have these dependencies? And I'm like, no, I don't. Like
Yeah.
that's you do that, and then all of a sudden it's working, and you're like,
Magic
holy
happens.
wow,
That's
amazing.
cool.
So, you know, different departments have different needs, right?
Yep.
HR deals with certain data sets. Marketing, of course, we deal with our different data sets. And then, of course, you have, finance has its own data set. So there's not one AI that's going to be able to help everything. It's really, again, just like it's personalized for the individual, the department has its own, workforce that has their own business needs. And sometimes those business needs are mundane. They could be programified very easily today with
Yep.
AI, right? Like
So,
reporting, right?
so you're talking about, I mean, I call it custom GPT is what you're describing, right?
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
curious about the mechanics of how you keep it secure, up to date, but secure. Like, can you give me the marketer's version of what that is?
To be with respect to security, because our company already adds a layer of security on the customer's data,
Yeah.
so we keep everything in a private environment.
Okay.
Now, when it goes to get information using a language model,
Yeah.
it just uses the model, the way that that model works with respect to how it's putting together, its next best thing. And you have to really keep in mind one thing always when you talk about AI, and I don't think a lot of people get this. It's not some big brain neural network that's thinking and do it's not. And that concept needs to get out of people's heads, right? If you think back when Nokia came out with their, little phones, everyone loved them, and you can go and you can send a text message,
Yep.
and the best thing that they ever came out with was called predictive text,
Right.
right? So what did it do is if you're typing the word T, it would show you an option of H and an E because it's think, are you trying to say the word the?
Right.
Well, AI is just, instead of it going letter by letter, it's going word by word.
Right.
It's the same technology. It's just gotten a lot smarter because instead of figuring out the next best letter, it figured out the next best word. And that's why, when you look at people who are able, that have never been a programmer in their life, are all of a sudden Python masters coming out with scripts that are doing this and that and talking, and you're
Right.
like, how did you even do that? And they're like, well, I just asked the AI and it broke it down for me. And you just
Yep.
have to know how to talk to it. But it's computers are based on computer language. And just like we speak English and Spanish and Russian and Ukraine, all these different languages, C++, JavaScript, right? These are all other languages. So it can predict the next best piece of code, just like we tried to predict the next word in our sentence, right? That's
Yeah.
all it's doing. And
Yeah.
it's doing a great job. It really is.
So then, let's see. Talk a little bit about a marketing campaign that you're building, and what tools and what connectors. I mean, are you just doing everything in Zap, or are you using something like N8N or Lovable, or
No.
how are you automating things?
With respect to like automation, what we're doing is we're trying to figure out, okay, now that let's take a step back. So one of the things that I'm personally working on is to try to figure out, how to give me information without me asking for it anymore, right?
Okay. Yep.
I already know what I need, but the thing is, we need an outlet. We need something that will give us that free access of information coming to me. I don't need to talk to it per se. I'll programify whatever I need to in the beginning, but
Yep.
then I want to push a button and have this thing work, excuse me, and have this thing work, as far and wide and long as it can. So at the end of the day, when you have something, I'll give you a simple example, right? Is, I want to be able to get a message every day that's related to, let's say, ransomware, that I can post on LinkedIn. So instead of just going every day and asking, ChatGPT, today's Tuesday, I want my ransomware post. And even today, you can create projects and you can create spaces, and it keeps that stuff so you can go in there and it will give it to you. What you can do today is you can actually build, a Telegram bot. If you're familiar with Telegram and
Yep.
WhatsApp and all those little messaging systems, well, they actually have free APIs, and you can create a bot. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, you can literally ask ChatGPT, listen, how do I build a bot for Telegram that can send me a message every day with a LinkedIn post that I can put up, or a daily, some daily post that I can have at 2 o'clock every day.
Yeah.
And it will tell you how to do that. I've taken it to the next level where I've said, okay, well, now I want to write a program that looks online at what's going on in the world of stocks, and it gives me suggestions on what I should what I should be looking at.
Right.
I said, that's great.
Yep.
And then I said, okay, well, let's take it to the next step. What if I give you some money? Could you spend it? And it's doing a really good job spending the money, not making it so far.
Yeah,
So it's learning,
right.
right? It's learning. It's learning. It's learning.
Yeah.
But these are things that a person like me, dreamt about.
Oh.
2 years, 3 years ago. Like, how could I do? And now I'm sitting here writing Python code, debugging with, different AIs, figuring out what's the best thing. And I think today we see that even when you're putting together a campaign or whatever, every AI is just a little bit different, right?
Yep.
Just a little bit different with the way. So sometimes when it comes to like a marketing campaign, if it's something that's related to charts and I want to understand, something and break it down, like let's say it's like, what's it called? There's Nielsen comes out with a new report, and there's like a crazy chart about how many people are watching certain specific shows at certain times of days and what that means for the advertising business, right? And they give you some kind of fancy chart. You can drop that whole chart now into Gemini, sorry, and say, what are some interesting insights that you can come up with that people probably never thought about?
Right.
And that gives you content that's catchy, that you can say, hey, did you ever think about XYZ? And then all of a sudden, you're not just sharing information, you're sharing ideas.
Yes.
And these are common things that I find that really help in the marketing side. So it's not so much automating the process, which was fantastic. It's more about understanding how to separate yourself from the norm, which goes back to the point that I wanted to make earlier, is that we're starting to recognize more and more and more of the same thing, right? Things are becoming AI-ified, right?
Yes.
There's a lot more AI, which is great. Use it, love it. We're all good, but that's okay. But it's becoming more and more noticeable. Now, if we're noticing it, who else is noticing it? The AI.
For sure.
And so we don't want to get into that death spiral where it's teaching itself on its own content because we're just copying and pasting. And that's like a big no-no. Like, take what you get. It's an unbelievable starting point, but take that starting point and make it your own, right? Don't just change this, a thing, a comma or a hyphen or whatever, right?
Right.
Nobody's thrilled. I'm telling you right now, but everybody's thrilled. Everyone's thrilled.
Yeah.
There's got to be a different word that you can use, So
I love it.
those are the 2 cents.
Well, one of the things I stole from SEO was the exclusion keywords. I have the exclusion list that I plug in every time.
Absolutely.
Because you got to have words that you don't use or phrases you don't use,
Yeah.
just like thrilled, right?
Which is great. I mean, thrilled is huge. but then you're missing out on like 99% of the messages these days because everybody's thrilled. But I
Well,
think it's fun. Yeah,
I appreciate your insights, and
my
I just
pleasure.
wonder what do you see in the next few months? Do you see anything coming up that we
Yeah,
should?
I think I think the next few months, because we just finished Q1, right? For some companies, right? We're right now in the next part of this is when the companies are supposed to deliver
Yeah,
everything that they promised us in Christmas with their final shows and the big events and what they're showing. They said it's coming in the H2, we're coming
right.
out the second half of the year, or be on the lookout, and there's same thing with our company, by the way. Our big release of what that snippet I talked about how we're doing it, right? That is
Yeah,
going to be officially available. Like, we're still doing testing and there's limitations here and there, like every other software. But I honestly think that there's going to be some, you know, bigger tools out there and a lot more collaboration
yeah,
between AIs. So I think it's not going to be about which AI is better for me and I need to change where I'm going. I think it's going to be about where can I go to have access to all of them in one place. Like Poe, right?
sure.
Poe is an excellent example of that, where you can go in and pick which model you want to play with. You
Yep.
get a few credits for some of the premium ones. The other ones are all free standard. You can have fun with it all day, no worries. But the imagery stuff, the videos, those are getting better and better and better. Just like the content got better and we were looking at pictures getting better, the video now is getting better and better. And I think the testament to that is when you do the Will Smith eating spaghetti. I think it's like a famous test where if you watch these videos of Will Smith AI trying to make a video of Will Smith eating spaghetti, in the beginning it just looks like almost horrific,
Yeah.
like really, really like Picasso-ish, like a moving. His lips are here, his eyes are here, his nose is here, and he's spaghetti everywhere. Now it just looks like Will Smith eating spaghetti. Like, it's
Yeah.
that's what it is. And the only thing is that the more and more you see of those types of things, the more open the public will be to accepting not real people as people that they want to watch. And there's a
Right.
lot more characters being created, and there's a lot more industries being created around the fact that we don't need to work with an actual person anymore. No more insurance, no more managers, no more personal opinions, no more sick days,
Right.
right? You
Yeah.
got a character that you can use, and not only that, but like you can also, the whole thing of like the fashion industry, it's gonna change like crazy, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Again, the videos, the marketing, but for the individual, right? We're getting to the point where it's almost like, if you have a Mac, like it's all, or anything with like the intelligence, software updates, it's getting to the point where it can take a picture of you. You can put any piece of clothing you want in a frame, and it will show you what you look like in that clothes.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't need to leave your house anymore to go try something on. You can go online to the website, grab it from H&M, throw it on a picture of yourself, not just a picture, but like a live version of you, right?
Yep.
Virtual you wearing that. How do you think I bought my latest pair of sunglasses? Right? I
Right.
really wanted to get a new pair, and I said, "Oh, virtual try on." Now, by the way, technology is not new. It's been around for a while, but it's just getting better and better because what AI does with respect to imagery is it fills in the gaps.
Yep.
So just like the words and the letters, right? What's the next best word? If you put a picture in motion, it's going to decide what's the next image that should have been, a result of somebody moving forward or backward, right? Like, great virtual background I have here. I love my little arcade system. None of them are real. But the next step is that each one of these games would individually have a screen moving and doing things, right?
Yeah.
That's what I think is cool and where we can go with it. So I think video, I think the fashion industry, for sure, movies, right, and music.
Nice.
And if there's one application that you can feel like a kid again and just get lost in with it for hours, it's an app called Suno. A lot of people have heard of it. It's Suno. Just download it and it will write you the best song ever. You can use ChatGPT to get the lyrics of a song, by the way, in any language. So if you don't speak Russian, but you want to come up with like a Eurovision Russian song, it will do it for you. You pop it into Suno, give it the words, and you can have a Backstreet Boys version of it. And it's like, no, it literally is one of those things that blows your mind.
Yeah.
And you have fun with it. You really do. It's fun. It's safe. It's exciting. And if you have kids, you can do it with them, because this is the best tool to teach them, to get used to. Yeah, they're going to use it for homework. They're so going to use it for, skipping, cutting corners on this and that. But you know what? Maybe that's where the world is going.
Right.
Maybe we don't need to waste our time in remembering all these formulas, because at the end of the day, if I'm trying to come up with some kind of scientific thing, I just don't know the math. You can just ask the AI, hey, can you just break this down mathematically for me? And guess what? It will. You don't need to know what it means. Take it to a professional and say, hey, listen, is this real? And let them tell you whether or not it makes sense, right? Because they're supposed to be the authority there. But it gives people power. And, and it's okay, right? It's okay. We need to be able to accept these things and say, okay, maybe, Einstein and all of them had something incorrect when they said, yeah, there's no reason to memorize anything. The book is right there.
Yeah.
Right. Like, what's the point of the book? If how do you open up your capacity? Well, you don't fill it with useless information. But now if you have an idea, that's where it gets exciting, where you can't get an idea out of a book. You can get ideas that will help you understand your own ideas. You can build on an idea. But when you have your own idea, now you have a way to actually explore and expand and test and look and hypothesize for real and see if it makes sense, right? Because you can talk about it. And, sometimes we don't want to talk about it with people because we're like, oh, this guy's going to think I'm stupid. No. It will never tell you, oh, that's a stupid idea. It's the opposite. It will tell you, oh, you're brilliant. Where did you come up with that, right? It always makes you happy. So those are the big things, right?
I love it. I think that's a great take, James, and that it's a dynamic tool that we have access to create new things and to explore. And
absolutely,
you and I are aligned on that. And I super appreciate you taking time with me.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah,
I love it, Emmanuel. Like, have me on any time.
And
if there's anything exciting that comes on, I'll be happy to share.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. Hang on for me while I close the show, and we'll check.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, it is a promising view of the future and the best ways to use these tools that are at our disposal. I encourage you to check out the AI Studio that James was talking about from Google. And I hope that you find some ways today and this week where AI can speed up some processes for you and give you some time back from the work that you're doing, and that you use that time to get outside, go for a walk, spend time with your friends and family, and dream your next dream. See you soon.
Thanks for listening to Marketing in the Age of AI. Be sure to subscribe wherever you heard this podcast so you never miss a future episode. Your copy of Authentic Marketing in the Age of AI is available at Amazon.com or EmmanuelRose.com. You can also connect with Emmanuel on LinkedIn. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.